Hello and welcome to Cooking with Tara. This is kind of a special edition. It's the new year, 2021. We're in January when everybody's making all kinds of resolutions to probably to lose weight because an awful lot of people have COVID-19. And I'm not talking about the disease now, but I'm talking about the extra almost 20 pounds that an awful lot of people have put on by being at home all the time and having access to food all the time and maybe not exercising as much. So if you're in that category and you're trying to lose weight, you're probably looking for a diet that's going to work. Well, I've come across something a long time ago. There's a woman by the name of JJ Virgin, and she came up with the Virgin Diet. And she has a podcast and she does a terrific job. But the one concept that she shared with her audience, and I was in it, was this notion of including a pound of non-starchy vegetables in your diet every day. And if you do that, all kinds of interesting things happen. The first thing that happens is that's a lot of food. So you displace other food. You're not hungry if you're eating that pound of non-starchy vegetables. The second thing that happens is you're getting a lot of fiber, which is great for a whole bunch of reasons. Among other things, it's feeding the natural bacteria that live in your gut and making them healthier. So you're feeding that biome that everyone talks about all the time these days. You're also getting a load of minerals and vitamins and the other nutrients, phytonutrients, for example, that are really, really good for you. I mean, this is the reason why I think when you look at the health benefits of a vegetarian diet, it's because they do eat vegetables, and vegetables are important. We've looked at diets of hundreds of people when we were doing wellness seminars, and we found that we actually had to bring a laminated green leafy vegetable into the seminar room to show them what one looked like, because clearly they weren't ever in contact with one before. So if you want to improve your health and lose weight, one of the best ways of doing it is to incorporate a lot of non-starchy vegetables. Now, notice I'm saying non-starchy vegetables because it's very easy to load up on things like potatoes and corn and that sort of stuff, where you're getting an awful lot of carbohydrate along with the goodies that are in there. I'm not saying those are bad foods. What I'm saying is that they shouldn't be the base. So if you really want to build a solid base to your diet, build in the non-starchy vegetables. They'll fill you up, but they're very low in calories and they're loaded with nutrients. So what I came up with as a way of doing that is the idea of having a base for a meal that consists of these non-starchy vegetables. And the funny bit is cultures around the world have been doing this forever for culinary and flavor reasons. You'll see what I have on the scale here. Let me just turn the scale on. Oop, I got to turn that off first. All right. I have to take all of this off. I'll edit this out. Okay, so what I have on the scale here is 1 pound, well, it's 15 3/4 ounces, close enough, of non-starchy vegetables. So I've got celery, I've got carrots, I've got a half an onion, I have several cloves of garlic, and this is going to be the base for any meal that you want to make. And the cool thing about having a base like this is it's loaded with flavor. This is what chefs start with when they're making almost anything. If you're talking about French cuisine, this is mirepoix. If you're talking about Italian cuisine, this is sofrito. If you're talking about something like Cajun cuisine, this minus the carrots plus peppers is the holy trinity. So this is a flavor base that is also loaded with really good things for your body. So we're going to base everything on this, but I'm going to do it in such a way that you can incorporate this and then add any flavor profile you want. For this meal, we're going to make it a Mexican profile, but it just as easily could be an Indian profile, or it could be a Japanese profile, or a Chinese profile, or a Thai profile, or a Cajun profile. You name it, you can take this base and convert it into any flavor profile that you prefer. But for the purposes of this meal, we'll just do Mexican. Okay, I'll meet you back in a couple of seconds. I'll have this prepped up and show you where we go from here. Okay, welcome back. I've taken that same plate of vegetables now, just peeled the onion and chopped it, peeled the carrots, chopped those, and then chopped up the celery, and peeled and chopped the garlic as well. Don't have to be too fancy with the chopping here. Don't worry about your knife skills with this, because all of this is ultimately going to be pureed anyhow. The point of chopping it down was just to take it to the next phase, which is to cook it. And what we're trying to do here is not brown it, but I put a pretty good glug of olive oil in there, probably 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And now all the vegetables are going into the pot. And this is going to take a while to cook down. And you don't want to put color on it other than a very light tan. You don't want this charred or seared or caramelized. You're really just looking to get it to cook down. One of the things that happens during this process is the cellular structure of the vegetables actually breaks down a little bit. A little bit of moisture is driven off. The oil is used to extract some flavor. There are 3 vehicles that carry flavor. One of them is fats, one of them is water, and the third one is alcohol. And when these are finished cooking down, I'll deglaze the pan with a little bit of white wine, and that'll pick up the flavor as well. So those are 3 flavor solvents, if you will, that carry them to your sensory apparatus. And you need all 3 to get lots and lots of flavor. And you'll notice that good chefs use fat, water, and alcohol often in combination for that very reason. So this is going to cook down a while. I'll meet you back here once these are thoroughly cooked down, and then we'll take the next step. When the vegetables were cooking, we had to lubricate the chef a little bit, so salute. So what I've got going in here are these vegetables, a little olive oil, just a little pinch of salt. Let them cook down a little bit. They did pick up a tiny bit of color. The cellular structure is broken down just a little bit. And I'm going to throw some white wine in there. Just a good glug of white wine. And I'm going to turn this off, and this all goes right into the blender. Now this is going to take a little trickiness. But I did miss with a few, okay. All right, good enough. Just get those last few beauties out of there. All right, what I'm going to add to this are some tomatoes. I've got these beautiful San Marzano tomatoes. These are imported Italian tomatoes. And they are wonderful. And depending upon what cuisine you're working with, you may or may not want tomatoes. You may want more tomatoes or fewer tomatoes. Up to you. There is no one recipe for this. This happens to be based upon what do you have in your house at the moment. This is not haute cuisine. I think it's good cuisine, but it's not haute cuisine. We're not trying to be faithful to any particular cuisine itself. We're taking a flavor profile. So I'm just going to blend this up, make it nice and smooth. And just that quick, I have a very smooth puree. Oh, sorry about that. I know it's been a little bit noisy here. Sorry about that. All right, so this goes right back in that pan that we were sauteing things in. And we're going to cook that down a little bit now as a puree. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this Mexican profile is all about. Now, if you start with this, notice what's in there are non-starchy vegetables, a little bit of olive oil, and that's it. Oh, along with some white wine, and we're going to boil off most of the alcohol. Oop, looks like a molten lava pit right now. All right, you got to dial that back a little bit. Okay, so now we want to take it into that Mexican profile. So we need a protein. The protein that I'm going to use is rotisserie chicken. I bought this rotisserie chicken. All of the big box stores now have rotisserie chickens. When I brought that chicken home yesterday, I broke it down and took the bones out. That really wants to spatter. I took the bones out and stripped the meat off, and then I took a set of these bear claws that my sous chef gave me, and I just shredded the meat. Now, when the rotisserie chicken is fresh from the store, this is very easy to do. If you put it in the refrigerator, take it out, and then attempt to do it, it's really hard to do. So it's a thing to do as soon as you get the rotisserie chicken home. Just strip all of the meat off the bones and tear it up into little strips like that, and it's ready to go. And that is 2 pounds of meat that I got off a 5-pound chicken, or $5 chicken. In addition to that, I kept all of the bits of skin. I'm going to crisp these up and use them as cracklings. I also put some shishito peppers in the air fryer with a little bit of olive oil and some onion and some salt, and these are lovely as a garnish on top. So we'll use this as a protein. We've got the base. Now, what else comes to mind when you start thinking Mexican? I start thinking about corn and beans. So I've got some black beans. Now, when you take black beans out of the can, please give them a good rinse. Black beans in the liquid have what are known as oligosaccharides. These are very long starches that you cannot digest, but boy, you sure can ferment. And the product of fermentation is gas. So we want to rinse those off a little bit to reduce the oligosaccharides on the outside. And then I've just got some nice sweet corn in a can. So corn and beans together produce a complete protein. We're going to include a little bit of rice, which also works very well with that. And then we've got some great spices to go in it as well. So this is the base for the Mexican meal. I'm also going to take some tortilla strips, toss them, cut them in little tiny strips, toss them in a little bit of olive oil, put them in the air fryer to just crisp them up a little bit, and that will be a garnish as well. So I think this is nice and warm at this point. I'm going to spice it up a little bit. Now, the spices, where did I put all my spices? The spices that you might use depend upon your personal preferences, but also on the flavor profile that you're trying to achieve. So one of the things that I have is I've got chipotles, which are peppers. They're in adobo sauce. So the sauce has flavor, it has color. The peppers themselves have flavor and color. In addition to that, I'm using some ground cumin, some chili powder, a little bit of crystal hot sauce, salt and pepper. And then I'll taste it, and then we'll adjust from there. So the chili powder, again, there are no recipes here. This is something that you're gonna have to add your spices, taste, add spices, taste, and make an adjustment. And once you get used to certain ingredients, like that chili powder, you can have quite a bit of. Actually, you can have quite a bit of both of these. This is a wonderful spice mix made by Penzeys. It's called Salsa and Pico, and it has both of these in it already, so I'm not going to use that right now. I'm going to add a little splash of the hot sauce. This is just black pepper. I'm going to add a grind of that. Now this base could be thinned down and turned into a soup. I'm using it more like a stew. That's good. Needs a little bit more spice, touch more salt. Now your choice of what to add is partially dependent upon what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to achieve, you want to go vegan, or you want to go paleo, or you want to go, need a cutting board. Keto, you would choose a different ratio of ingredients. I'm using a Mediterranean approach. So what we're doing is going vegetables forward. The bulk of the meal will be vegetables. There'll be a limited amount of protein, and there'll be some good fats. So you saw that extra virgin olive oil going in to cook. We can add a little bit more of that later. All right, so there's the chipotles in adobo. That's going to give some really nice color and flavor to this mix. And then I'm going to add some corn. It's about a half a can of the corn. I rinsed the entire can of black beans. I'm going to put about half of that in and see where we are. You can see it from what I'm doing here. This is very much ad hoc. All right, so now we got some nice corn. We have some beans. We have the base. This is turning into a lot of food. When I tasted it earlier, it needed a little bit more salt. It needed a touch more chili powder, a little more cumin, and another splash of the hot sauce. All right, now those chipotles are working their way in. The adobo is adding to the flavor. You get all of these spices mixed in really good. Give it another taste. That's really good, but you know what it needs? It needs a little bit of acid. I'm going to throw some lime juice in there. This will brighten things up. It adds a freshness. Really, really good to include a little bit of lime juice. Okay, not going to put any more in there until I taste it again. Ooh, it's making my mouth light up. The The hot sauce comes on slowly. A little crystal hot sauce. Getting really, really close. I think I'll do the final adjustment at the end. I'm going to put the chicken in so it can pick up on the flavors and add its own flavor. I just eyeball that to be about 8 ounces. All right, we're going to hit pause and let this cook down a little bit. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes, and in that time, all of these wonderful flavors have come together. So now we've got the chilies, the chipotles in adobo, we've got beans, we have corn, we have the base that we made, the chicken, and that is all beautifully come together. In that time that you were gone, I did take some of the chicken skin from that rotisserie chicken that we got yesterday, and I stuck it in the air fryer and just crisped it up, chopped up a little bit of cilantro. We have the shishito peppers that I've already roasted. Then I took some tortillas and I cut them into little strips. Now you could use tortilla chips out of a bag, but I really kind of like these little guys. So I took tortillas, cut them into strips, put them in a bowl, tossed them in a little olive oil, stuck them in the toaster oven or the air fryer, and they're both crispy and chewy at the same time. I got a nice little crunch, really great flavor. I've also cooked some basmati rice, which is our absolute favorite rice, as you can tell from the size bag that we buy it in. But this is such a bargain. You go to the big box stores, and you can buy this at almost any of them, and look for Royal Basmati rice. This is what, a 10-pound bag? 20-pound bag. So there's a 20-pound bag of rice. Now, we share this with other people. We don't just buy 20 pounds and have it sit in the pantry for forever. So we share this, but the truth is, rice keeps a really long time. There's a plastic bag inside this burlap bag. We just love the aroma. We love the flavor. So we're going to have a little bit of this as well. So I've cooked that. And we've got the cooked rice. I'm going to put that on the bottom. Now again, how much of any one of these things you use depends upon what your nutritional needs are. And I suggest that you use the program Lose It. And you can put in what you're trying to achieve. If it's weight loss, you can tell it your weight loss goals, your current weight, and so on. And it will give you the information that you need about what the macronutrient breakdown is that you need to achieve those goals. Okay, so we've got the beautiful mix of the chicken and the vegetables. Now, this is, believe it or not, this is a pound of vegetables, a bit more when you include the starchy ones, of course. And so we're dividing this between me and my sous chef. Her caloric needs are a little lower than mine. We're giving her a slightly smaller portion. But the truth is, if we each ate half of this, it would be an awful lot of food. And what's happened is the good food in there has displaced anything that you might want to add that wasn't good. Now, I did take the chicken skin and crisp it up in the air fryer. And again, you can use this or not. We happen to love the flavor of it. So here's some cracklings of chicken that I'm going to put on top. These lovely roasted shishito peppers, not strictly Mexican, of course, but you know, a pepper is a pepper. Actually, the truth is the peppers came from there to begin with, wherever they ended up. And then I think I'll go with the tortilla strips. If you like a lot of heat, this would be a point that you could add some more Crystal hot sauce. I'm going to add just a little bit of sour cream to the top. And depending upon your own particular nutritional needs, you might want to leave that out. Lots of cilantro. One of the cool things about herbs is that their nutrient density, so calorie for calorie, you can't hardly beat herbs. And this cilantro is such a classic flavor of Mexico. And then, so that you can adjust the acidity to your own preference, a little wedge of lime. And there, friends, we have a highly nutritious, believe it or not, relatively low calorie, incredible meal. And you can take that and go in lots of different directions with it. So I hope you'll try this out. I hope you enjoy it. And until we get together again, bon appetit.